guys, it's Emerald again from emeraldsocialclub.com. Remember that you can find me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, all at Emerald Gina, which is Emerald and then Gina, Jeana. And also go to my website, emeraldsocialclub.com, where you can find some sewing tips and where you can also register for my sewing retreat that I'm having in March of next year. It's March 9th through 12th of 2017. Hope to see you guys out and come have a good time with us. The point of this video, basically, I've been having people who I teach kind of wanting to know how to pick out the best sewing machine for them. So that's going to be the point of this video, just to give a few tips and pointers on how to pick out the best sewing machine for you. So one thing, first and foremost, I think about picking out a sewing machine is the best tip I can say is to buy the best sewing machine that you can afford. That's going to be one of the most important things, and that's really whether you're buying a sewing machine, whether you're buying your iron, any of your sewing tips, or any of your sewing notions, or anything that you'll use, is to buy the best that you can afford. Sometimes you can get away with a cheapy type of machine, but realize that it may not last you as long as buying a better machine. So, you know, if you can afford a little bit better, you do a little bit better. And one thing though that I do have to say about that is, if you're limited on budget, I think it's better to start to sew on something than to not be able to sew at all just because you can't afford the, you know, best of the best type of machine. And sometimes you really don't even need that. So, tip number 2 that I recommend as far as trying to choose a sewing machine is, if you are on a limited budget, it's actually better to get a mechanical machine versus a computerized machine. So if you've got a, let's say you have a budget of, let's say, $200 or less, it's better to get a mechanical machine versus the computerized, because the computerized machines at that price range are not going to be the best for you. They may boast lots and lots of stitches, but they are not going to be the type of machine that is going to be able to handle a lot of different fabrics and mediums. And it's also not the type of machine that would be able to be, you know, repaired if something were to happen to it. Kind of think of it as basically like if you were to buy a cheap computer versus like a Mac or something, like a very good Mac. If you buy some cheap PC from Walmart, you know that in about a year and a half, 2 years, you're not even going to be able to get on the internet with that thing. But if you invest and get a better type computer, then you know that you're going to be able to have that computer for a long time. That's the same thing with the computerized machines, because that's basically what they are. They're computers inside of a machine. So you want to, if possible, if your budget is limited, get a mechanical machine. And I'll just kind of explain the difference between a mechanical and a computerized if you don't know. The mechanical often will have like dials, or you know, you'll turn something instead of actually pushing in buttons and things like that. That's generally how you can tell computerized versus a mechanical machine. And those mechanical machines are really good machines, especially if you can get like an older one that, you know, maybe from like the 80s backwards. Those are some of the best machines to actually sew on. Some of the computerized ones, they can be good, but the better ones are pricey. The better computerized machines are usually $300-400 and up, which for someone who just starts sewing, you know, you may not be ready to invest that type of money. You know, maybe you can't afford it right now. Maybe you just don't think you need to pay that to get a good machine. Or you may just be thinking, well, I don't have right now, you know, I'm not sure that I'm really going to be sewing that much. So why would I want to spend that kind of money on a machine? So starting out with a mechanical machine that's a little bit less will more than likely get you a better machine, a better quality machine for a little bit less, if you're not willing or able to spend a larger amount of money at the time. Tip number 3, if you can find it, it is actually better to get a older vintage machine if that's possible. Sometimes if you ask people you know, they may have a machine that's sitting somewhere in a garage or something like that, and they're willing to give it to you, you know, maybe free of cost, but even if not, maybe, you know, just a few dollars. And those are actually going to be a lot better machines and a lot better quality. A lot of those may not be those computerized machines, but they'll be a good basic machine that will carry you through, you know, the life of you sewing. My machine, Lady Kelly, which is Lady Kelly Kenmore, it's a machine that I got from a friend. I think that machine was manufactured like in 1988 or something like that. Sat in a garage for years because my friend's mother didn't want it, and she was willing to give it to me for free. I felt bad though because I tested it out and I could tell it would sew quite well if it got cleaned up and oiled right. So I gave her $40 for it. Then I spent another $80, $90 on getting it cleaned up, and that machine works like a dream. In fact, that's the machine I probably use the most, especially if I travel anywhere from teaching or whatever, because it's portable, but it's still, you know, pretty well metal inside, so, you know, the mechanical parts work well, and, you know, all for the price of, you know, the cheapest bottom machine that you may be able to find today. I got a good machine for basically like $120. So those machines can be had if you ask around. Someone might have them. And then also, don't sleep on things like Craigslist or eBay or something like that. Now, I will caution you, you may want to get the help of a more experienced sewist on that, you know, to see what you may actually be getting. But I can almost guarantee you that almost any of those, even if they're probably from like the 1980s backwards, even if they say list for parts, a lot of times those are offered by somebody who just doesn't know what they're doing. They don't know how to get that machine cleaned up and in working order, and they're not about to take the time to. So a lot of times you can get those for less than $100, get them cleaned up at your local sewing center, and have a good machine, like I said, for the price, less than the price of what you'd actually buy a new really good machine for. So don't sleep on places like that. You know, those basically garage sale type sites and things like that. You can get a good deal if you're willing to kind of research and see exactly what is out there, and if you're willing to take it to a sewing machine repair place, or know someone who can repair it and get it cleaned up and in good working order, you can have a good machine that doesn't cost you a lot. That's going to be one of the top machines that, you know, better than what you could buy if you just bought one outright. And definitely, definitely, definitely do your research. I don't want to bring down the name of any companies or anything here, because that's not really the purpose of my video. My purpose is to try to help you guys figure out what's going to be best for you. But just research and see what type of machines are actually best based upon your needs and your budget. The machines of your grandmother's day are not necessarily, or also the brand names of your grandmother's day are not necessarily what's going to be best today. A lot of those companies have been sold by other, or excuse me, bought by other companies, so they're not the same. Though they carry the same name, they're not actually the same quality. So definitely do your research and find out what's going to be best. Don't just buy something up on a brand name. So another question that I will often get is, someone will ask, well, how do I know when it's time to upgrade? Maybe they started with a cheaper machine because it's what they could afford then, or they were like, I don't really know if I'm going to like sewing, so I'll just go get this, whatever type machine. But how do I actually know, should I upgrade? Well, I kind of put together a few little things that I noticed when it was time for me to upgrade. The machine I was using, I started out with a Brothers CP7500, which I bought from Walmart. It was a good basic machine. And it still runs well. I actually gifted it to my sister-in-law. It's a good machine, except the fact that I'm sewing each and every day, and I don't have any time for any kind of breakdowns. I don't have time to be untangling stitches. I don't have time for any of that. And those are some of the things I started to see the more I started to sew. I've gotten to a point where I could, do a lot of sewing tasks, but I wanted to do more. And I realized I was spending a lot of time trying to get my machine working. And that's definitely like one thing you'll notice when it's time for you to upgrade. You'll also notice sometimes those cheaper machines that you get, if you buy them, let's say from like Walmart, or if you just buy a cheap machine off of Amazon, or those lower brand Singers from Joann, you'll notice that when you try to take those in for repair at repair shops, they really aren't repairable. And that's because the plastic parts and everything inside of them, they're not actually meant to be repaired. They're actually meant to be machines that you use for light mending or, very light tasks. And when they're done, they're done. So, if you take those machines to the repair shops, many of the time you'll be spending more than their value just to get them repaired, if they'll repair them at all. Another thing, if you are, to kind of let you know if you're ready to upgrade, if you're sewing regularly and you start to notice you need more capabilities. So for example, if maybe you started out sewing like lightweight quilting cottons and things like that, and you realize, now I want to move on to sewing leather. I want to move on to sewing different types of silks and things like that. And you realize that machine can't handle those requests, it's time to upgrade. It's time to get you something else that will hopefully keep you and let you, basically grow into that machine and be able to do all the things that you need for the life of that machine. And if you actually go out, do your research, whether that be go to like a local sewing center or get you a good older machine, if you do that, you can get a machine that's going to last you, for life, for the life of your sewing. A lot of times people do have mini machines. When you start sewing, you'll realize, people will kind of gift you machines, or, oh, my grandma had this and nobody uses it, and give it to you. So you might end up with more than one machine anyway, which is actually a good idea just in case one's in the shop or something. But if you are able to get a good machine, you'll be able to, keep that machine running for a long time. And so that's definitely something that you want to do when you realize that sewing is going to be something in the long haul for you. When you realize, hey, I really do like this hobby and I want to start experimenting with all different types of fabrics and mediums and things like that, those cheap machines that you get in the beginning just won't do, and it'll definitely be time for an upgrade. So, in conclusion, the tips for purchasing your next or your new sewing machine: buy the best you can afford. Buy a mechanical machine over a computerized machine if your budget is limited. Get an older machine if you are able to do so, whether that's asking around from family and friends, whether that is buying off of something like eBay or Craigslist or one of those garage sale type sites. And also, do your research to make sure that the machine that you are purchasing is not just the best name brand, but actually the best quality. And then consider some things when it is getting time for you to upgrade. So with that, that's really the end of my video. I just wanted to, like I said, kind of give some pointers and tips on what I know from sewing and trying to pick the best machine. and hopefully this helps you. If it does help you and you did like the video, please click like and subscribe to my channel, and then also visit me on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, any of that to connect with me, and I'll be talking with you guys again soon. Bye!